Hello, good evening. Welcome, everybody. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and all the different social media channels. Welcome, everybody, the viewers of Utopian Global Channel, to our first live broadcast here from Dubai. This is Claudia here, and starting off the new year with a lot of excitement, a lot of great things which are to come. 2020 certainly has been a very challenging year. That is for sure for many, many people. Yet with that always comes opportunities, as we said. And I have with me the founder and the CEO of Utopian Global, Bill. This is also your first live broadcast. And now we have people coming on board from different places here listening to us. And of course, wanting to have updates and your vision, because this is really announced as the vision broadcast for Utopian Global for 2021. I have to get a costume to that name, 2021. Yes, it is unbelievable how time flies. How are you? And welcome to the call.
Well, hi, Claudia. It's great to be here. Welcome to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. Yes, 2021. And I must say, it's going to be a great year. We're going to be sowing and we're going to be harvesting. Regardless of what goes on in the political world, we're going to move forward because that's the way we have to in our life.
And that is great to hear. And I really see the excitement in your face. We have here Dr. Blue as well watching. 2021 Better Life has just begun.
Yes, regards to Dr. Blue and his wonderful family there in the US. Yes, 2021. So shall we start, Claudia?
Well, definitely we should start with the vision for 2021. So let's share your vision with us.
Well, before I get into the vision, I mean, the vision's obviously, of course, is sowing for prosperity and well-being for everyone. That's really what we want to be able to do. But let me give a bit of an update for the last couple of months, what's been going on in the background from Utopian Global to where we are today. Primarily at the end of last year, well, primarily I've been in Dubai the whole 2020, pretty much out of the 2020, I would say probably 8 months of that was spent here in Dubai, working with different business people, looking at different projects, doing due diligence. That involved a trip at the end of 2020, a trip to Angola, where I was invited to have a look at a joint venture in the mineralization project, which is very, very, very interesting. Wonderful people. This is a country that had been torn apart, I think 30 years or 35 years of civil war, which finished, maybe 15 years ago or so. So the people there are very, very humble. A lot of poverty. It's Africa. It's a tragedy in one sense. The most richest, continent on planet Earth, but yet the poorest. It's really a human tragedy in that sense. In fact, I heard someone the other day tell me very wisely. He said, the issue of poverty, the world doesn't really suffer from poverty. What it really suffers is from wealth distribution, the mismanagement of wealth distribution. We really have sufficient resources on planet Earth to feed everyone in one sense, but our systems, infrastructure, investments don't really allow that, and corruption and all these types of things. Of course, it's always the people that pay. So going there to Angola, I saw some wonderful opportunities. It's a rich, rich country. And people, having minerals in the ground doesn't feed the children. They can't eat minerals, for example. So they want to work. They're hungry to work, and they want to be able to convert that into currency. Let's say US dollars in that particular sense, so they can actually buy food. They can build a better home, give the children an education, healthcare. That's what they want. So by us going there and doing a morally respective joint venture with these people, one, it's going to benefit them hugely, and it's also going to benefit our members around the world. So that's what I've been focused on the last I would say 5 months, and that's where we're going to be leading to in 2021. You asked me the vision on 2021. Now, you've been here in Dubai, Claudia. I think you came just before I left to Angola, so you've been here now, I think, 2 months, correct?
That is correct.
So you've had the opportunity to come into the office, meeting some of the business entrepreneurs, meeting the team. Pretty remarkable people, huge experience. And these are big projects. So we're going to be doing a joint venture with these large companies, and we're going to be providing these products and services and assets to our members around the world. We're going to be doing it a little bit differently. It's going to be much better. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot from the way we structured STORE. We know what works. We know what doesn't work. Because the whole idea is maximizing the return for our members. So we've learned some good lessons from that. Because I too was a very large STORE investor. So if I'm putting money into these investments, in fact, that's what I've been doing. We don't share our investments with our members until I personally and other business colleagues have tested them ourselves. That's the truth. We put our risk, we put our own skin in the game to test it. Now, sometimes we get it right and sometimes we don't, but majority of times we get it right. But we have to also allow it takes time for due processes to take place. So I would say the target will be March, but this will be a global product, which means the US people will be able to participate. And it's very, very, very exciting. To just give you a summary of it, it's a simple understanding of how this particularly works. We're doing a joint venture in minerals. It's a mixture of minerals, okay? A basket of minerals, what's coming out of the ground. So we'll be buying parcels of minerals each month, and we'll be selling parcels of minerals at each month. Now, the margin that we actually get, that we actually buy them for, the margin that we sell them for is quite good, which means it allows us to be able to give our members quite a good return each month. And that can be anywhere. We still haven't decided on that. We're waiting for the results to come through. We believe maybe between 5 and 8% for an affiliate member per month, which means you have the potential of getting maybe 60 to 90% return on your money per year. And what's even better is that, let's say you've been doing it for 2 or 3 months and you have 10,000 euros invested and you want to get your money out. You give us, it's going to be probably 45 days notice writing because we've invested your money, and you'll be able to get your principal out 100%. So it means it's totally liquid. The risk will be managed very, very well because I'm managing my own money there as the other owners are. So it's going to be very, very liquid. So it means you'll be able to get your money out in 45 days notice in writing to us, and the returns will be very good. Free members will also be able to have a good return. I'm not going to give you the exact details of how it's going to work right now. We're going to get a bit closer. We've got to sign up. I must sign off on the exact details with the other team members here in Dubai and Angola. But what you might ask the question, why do they support this? And the easy answer to that is they get what we do. They understand what we do. I met a businessman here today. We had a 3-hour meeting here in the boardroom here. And he just gets it. I mean, this man's a huge entrepreneur. Let me say this about you. This gentleman, he took Muhammad Ali from the US to visit a part of Asia. In fact, he took him to Pakistan. So this man, that may not sound like much, but you don't get to take Muhammad Ali, the legend, to do promotion for you unless you're a pretty high player. This man is very, very well connected. I know that you've had the pleasure of meeting this particular gentleman, Claudia. He's a substantial businessman, been dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects, building stadiums, building bridges, so big projects. So he's involved in this project in Angola with us. So his experience, he's probably 35 years of business experience, my 35 years of business experience, and the other gentleman from South Africa also has probably 3.5 decades of business experience as well. The funny thing is about this particular group we're in, we're all born in the 1950s. We're all scorpions and we're all entrepreneurs. So it's like we've been all brought together during this COVID thing for this particular mission, and we're all very, very excited about it. But they get it, being entrepreneurs that generally, I don't like to use the word common or average because we're all the same. We all come from the same seed, correct? But we all have different opportunities based on the networks and experiences that we actually have. They get it very clearly that it's wonderful to have a platform. That's what Utopian Global is a platform to make available these assets to people around the world, regardless of their financial standing or knowledge or education in one sense. So they understand this is going to be very, very exciting, and it's going to be able to give people I believe good, strong returns, It's going to be totally liquid, and you'll be able to call back your principal when you want it to, which is fantastic. So, you know, Store is great. Store as an asset's paying out. And we have Polystream, which Ryan's very much focused on that in 2021 for the plastics to fuel. But at the same time, we're going to be bringing this project to the market, which I think is going to be very, very exciting. But we need some time still. As I said, we've got our money at work. We want to make sure that the due process on the supply chain from where we're buying it to where we're selling it to is actually very streamlined, risk managed, and liquid, because we want to make sure that we can actually, what we say we can actually meet. So that's what I'm working on right now. And what was the other point I wanted to say about this? Yes, and one particular gentleman, you'll get to know him over the months ahead. Very, very interesting man, highly skilled businessman. He knows what it's like to suffer, because during the apartheid times in South Africa, if you were coloured or black, let's say, if you were found having gold or minerals or anything of wealth in your possession, you're put into jail. And he went to jail not because he stole the minerals, just purely because of his color. So these people have an interesting history. They're good people. They're very, very, very successful, highly skilled in their area. They have a heart and soul to bring their knowledge and skills and experience to the common people as well as myself, growing up on a dairy farm, as they are as well. They come from humble beginnings as well. So they love what we do at Utopian Global. And when we met last year, at the beginning of last year, during the lockdown, actually here in Dubai, we just all clicked, and we just all knew what we had to do. And we also realized that given the symptoms of the world right now, what's going on in the world right now regarding, let's just look at paper currency, this stuff here, what central banks are doing. This stuff is just going to buy less and less in buying power. You're going to lose a lot of wealth because of the effects of inflation, because central banks around the world are printing trillions of dollars. Now, the repercussions of that are going to be felt. They're probably being felt right now, but over the coming years, it's going to be even more. So and then you have negative interest rates on top of that. So us to be able to provide a platform, a secure platform with real assets involved with a really strong team and board to give our members a good solid return in a very liquid fashion, I think is very, very, very exciting. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm invested in right now. And as soon as those investments start to come to return, we prove the supply chain from the beginning to end. We're going to bring that to the market. I would say our target's before the end of March. So that's very, very, very exciting, I think, for 2021. So it's going to be a huge year because I just feel it. We're big sowers, and the people I'm associated with are mega sowers. And so I've learned a lot from them already. And between us collaborating and working together on this plan, I know that we can bring a very, very successful project to our members around the world. So that's what we're doing, Claudia.
And yes, this is really, really exciting. I mean, I have been, as you said, here now those 2 months and seen and been here and also saw the due diligence process which is in place. I also, of course, as you have invested all throughout the years of Utopian Global in all the projects, always put first my money in before others. And so it's a very, very exciting market. I mean, who would have known obviously that all what was to come in 2020 and what we learned through Store, and we learned a lot how to do days projects. And so, so I'm really, really confident. I'm really, really happy that what we will bring now to the table, the way it is structured and the way it is, of course, for you, making it easy, simple, which is really key. It's gonna bring a lot of great things to people. And when we just look at, of course, the way the world has shifted, not just, of course, the economies, the awareness, the mindset of people, the sort of revolutionary, if you want to call it or not, what's going on right now. So governments, and we don't want to go into politics so much in here because this is not the purpose. But obviously we see, especially through this the year 2020, we saw the huge shift to renewables, this huge, concentration and focus from all the different kinds of governments into renewables. And when you look in the mineral sector, which we always have been talking about, obviously the core of the company is gold, silver, precious metals. We always have, throughout the years, the many years, we spoke about minerals, the importance of being diversified. And so this shift of governments to really focus on and go away, obviously, from fossil fuels, even though I believe we very much need it still, is quite drastic how it had happened in this very short time, which we never expected it's going to be so short and so dense. And I was doing some research the other day. I know we talked about that. When you just think about the trend, and you always talk about the trend as your friend, either you're against the trend or you're with the trend, so you better be with the trend. When you just think about an electric car, what does it actually take in minerals if you want to go electric? And in Europe or in Germany, at least in the year 2030, we all want to have electric cars. That's the goal, of course, in my particular country where I'm from. And so for a car battery, you need 56 kilos of nickel. You need 7 kilos of cobalt, you need 85 kilos of copper, and you need 7 kilos of magnesium. So the mineral market is an amazing market to certainly be in. And of course, this is one of the projects we have been also through store. Unfortunately, they couldn't happen like we wished to because of this COVID, the restrictions in traveling. But those are trends, those are mega trends, Bill. And so what you're working on are mega trends. And so I'm really excited and glad to be part of this project.
What you said there, Claudia, is true wisdom. You've got to be ahead of the wave. If you're behind it, you miss the great opportunity. If you're ahead of the wave, it means you're getting into these commodities at discount price before the masses catch on. And that's really what we're doing here. We're getting in, doing joint ventures into concessions of minerals, and we're getting in at discount price because the prices haven't gone. But if you have countries like Germany, which is a car country, it's the only country in the world that still has legally unlimited speed limits. Mercedes, Porsche, Volkswagen, Audi, what other brands? I mean, all the big names come from there, and you can drive at 260 kilometers an hour on the autobahns, which I must say I love. So the German law is going to change by 2030 that I think all cars have to be EV. So the thing about the pandemic last year, really the effect it's had on climate change, the effects of pollution in cities, they really realized that when there was a complete lockdown, cities, the levels of CO2, etc., was it was 50-60% less than what it was before. So there's always a positive and a negative. So this tragedy the last year for people's businesses and things, this is where it's all shifting. I mean, the fossil fuel industry, for the first time in history last year, we saw oil go to negative prices on the futures market, which never happened before in history. So we see tremors happening in the markets in different things, in the old school resources. But these old school, it's going to change very fast. And this is what this businessman was telling us last night, Claudia. He knew the trend was going to be renewable because this gentleman has built very large solar farms in Canada and different parts of the world. So he's familiar with this particular industry. He thought it was going to be a slow transition over 20, 30 years. That's what he thought. But now he said what's happened last year and what we're looking at right now, and these governments changing the laws, it's going to happen so fast. And we're seated with the right company dealing in these minerals, doing a joint venture. And that's the initiation of the project, is buying the minerals and selling the minerals on a monthly basis. Now, our aim is to do 12 shipments of minerals per year, but depending on the weather conditions, maybe it's 8 or 7 or 8, maybe it's 15. Okay, so you can sort of do your mathematics. If we're getting 5 to 8% return on our investment per month, if we did 12 shipments of these minerals and liquidated it, it's very strong. If we did 15, it's even more. If we did 7, it's less. But overall, it's still a very good return. Plus, you have 100% return on your money. When you want to get your money out, you give us notice, and you're going to get that back. but the trend is your friend. And to realize that the battery technologies, if you follow Elon Musk, and I'm reading his biography right now, very, very smart man. He works so hard. He's a visionary. You want to be rubbing shoulders and going. These people are game changers, just like Steve Jobs was a game changer, And to be involved in rare minerals, rare earth minerals, and minerals that are supporting these new trends. Is going to be very, very, very important. So that's where we're well seated. And the great thing is it has real value. It's assets of the earth. It's products of the earth. It's something of tangible value. And these products never go to zero. An app can go to zero. An idea can go to zero. But these minerals will never go to zero in valuation. In one sense, just like gold and silver doesn't. It'll fluctuate in exchange rates, but it'll never go to zero. So I'm really excited about it now. So the model is pretty much complete, I must say, but we still have some work to do and just fine tuning the supply chain to make sure that when we're buying, and I mean, we're shipping minerals from Angola, of course, to another part of the world, and then we have to liquidate it. We want to make sure that the supply chain process and timeframes, we say that we can do this in 4 weeks or 5 weeks, we have to be able to do that, and making sure that our suppliers and also our buyers are all ready to be able to do it as they say. So that's what we're in the process of doing. So anyway, I think you get the idea, but the supporting evidence is, Claudia, is the trend, and the trend is, of course, moving to electric vehicles, and of course the minerals that are going to be required to support this. It's going to be a huge shift in commodity price. I can remember investing in nickel back in the 90s, and I lost all my money. The mining company in Australia went broke. But it's funny, sometimes things you just got to wait for things to come into the right cycle, and I didn't have the knowledge then. But the EV market is going to be significant for this mineral demand: copper, nickel, cobalt. I forget the other one you said. Anyway, it's many minerals, and we're going to be getting ourselves involved in that. So.
It was magnesium. Yes, but also don't underestimate, I believe, with all this money printing, which is growing on, it's just really outrageous. Has to keep going on, of course. The new stimulus, which is going to come. I mean, they have to keep printing money. So silver, we cannot underestimate silver. We cannot underestimate gold. So I'm a gold bug. I'm the gold queen. So I'm big on that. And yes, of course, we have all those talks about Bitcoin, and I'm myself, I really like Bitcoin. I'm still gold and silver. That will be just the way it is. It's 3,000 years. How long? I mean, a history. It's just the way it is. And I'm still, a real asset, so to speak. But yes, we cannot underestimate still gold and silver, precious metals. They still play a very, very key role.
Yes, well, I'm a Bitcoin person, as you know, Clay. I'm a great believer in that. But it's still a new technology. I mean, gold's been around since ancient Egypt, goes back 5,000 years, actually, as a source of money. And Bitcoin has that's 12 years. In fact, our company next month is 13 years old. And I think Bitcoin white paper came out 12 years ago in one sense. So I'm a great believer in Bitcoin, but I must say the last 2 weeks we've been doing many payouts in our Treasury Department, and we've had people writing to us, "Where's our money?" It took 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks, for some payouts to go out to people on Bitcoin. Now we actually the Treasury has a standard that they'll always process the Bitcoin transaction on the lowest fee, because we have people wanting payouts of $10 and payouts of $2,000, $5,000 in euros in one sense. So we can't afford to if we put it at normal, or sometimes the prices they want to charge is $30, $40, $60. It's down to $20. If we did that to our members, they'd be screaming at us. So to make it easier in the Treasury Department, the policy was just to actually do the low price. But because of that, it took nearly 2 weeks for many transactions to be processed on the blockchain. So who knows? I'm a great believer in Bitcoin, but maybe it's some other coin we haven't even heard of that is the future. I don't know. That's how technology works, correct? In one sense. So the key then is diversification. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. The trend is your friend. No question about it. Gold and silver had a great run last year. We still believe it's going into another its third leg of its bull market. That's a long-term view. And you put a small part of your paper wealth in the gold and silver, a small part, and think long-term. And Bitcoin, well, you know, I can actually tell you straight up now, I made an investment last year. I think it was it October, maybe September, October. I sold 10 Bitcoin. I mean, if I hadn't done anything and just left my Bitcoin there, I would have been, you know, nearly 3 times ahead of the game. So, but you know, hindsight is is easy, isn't it? We all say these things that we wish we had done that. I mean, we sometimes we just don't know. But the trend is your friend, and diversification is really key, because as fast as things can go up, they can also change and go the other way as well, of course. So if you tie up too much of liquidity, you could get caught out, and if you're forced to sell, you lose. So risk management is really important, and that's really our major focus on the project that we're working on, is risk management. It's all about that, because we're talking about millions of dollars being invested here in this particular project. So we have to of course manage that risk very carefully. And of course, then you start sharing the opportunity with other people, which I must say, I've had this conversation with you, Claudia. Do I really want to do it? Managing other people's money, you know what? Even if it's 90 euros, I don't want to do it. It's a big responsibility. But on the other side, you know, as I was talking to some people who the concierge in the driveway of where we work, they ask what you're doing, we're talking to them. People need opportunity. So on one side, I think it can be a real pain and a huge responsibility managing other people's money, which I take very seriously. And you know I do that, Claudia. And sometimes I think to myself, is it really worth the effort to do that? But on the other side, when I see the people and look in their eyes and see how hard they work, like here in Dubai, taxi drivers, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, to be able to create opportunities for ordinary people to be able to get involved in some of these investments without never in their life have a chance to be involved in, to earn a bit of return. To me, that's the purpose. That's why I do it. And it's always been why I've done it. Otherwise, I'd just be a sole investor working with these other entrepreneurs. Wouldn't have to worry about all this. But we've always been purpose-driven. And our whole idea of Utopian Global is to just give people a better way, a safer way to be able to invest, and we learn as we go. That's really the thing. And markets change out there, industries change, trends change, and they can change like that. And sometimes we get caught out, you know. But we're still moving ahead strong. And what the project we're working on right now is absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be around for decades, because that's the trend, you know. So that's really all I need to touch on at this stage, Claudia.
Thank you, Bill. This is always really great to hear, and great to hear your passion for it. I mean, I'm still very passionate as well. I mean, all those long years, I've never gone sort of sidetracked to anything else. This is like, this is what I like. This is what I love, to really to work with people, help people, but also be involved in this amazing different projects. And we certainly came a long way. So I'm excited for that new future, for those new projects which we bring to the people. So I'm excited when we can finalize, of course, what we have to finalize here, so that we can actually launch it. But again, like just to recap very shortly again, like the diversification is so key. And you know, I see gold and silver, going back to that, I see gold especially, of course, as a wealth preservation. When we talk about Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin, I see it still, and this is my personal opinion, I see if you want to make fast cash, now could go also go wrong for you. But if you're looking for a fast, then maybe, yes, Bitcoin, of course, is that vehicle. It hasn't yet, I believe, in my opinion, proved to be, of course, like gold, which has for thousands of years, which is, of course, this wealth preservation, the store of value. I can't see it as yet. This is my personal opinion. There's other opinions there, which is okay. But what's key is you got to be in trends, and the trend is certainly going, of course, renewable, and of course, these electric cars, as we talked about, and of course, mobile phones, cell phones, all that. I mean, people are not going to commute anymore so much into the big cities and have their big offices. They all need computers at home, and not one or two or three. I mean, probably more if they have kids, and they all of a sudden now working from home. So it's really, really amazing trend, and we are basically on the forefront of that, and this is what I'm so happy about it for all of you. And so I'm just looking over, Bill, some of the questions which we have here from the people on the social media. And I know we have always people reviewing it a little bit later. You guys, so of course you may have questions afterwards. You can always send them to support@utopianglobal.com. If you do have, that is support@utopianglobal.com. They can answer all your questions. Of course, if you watched it in a review afterwards, when this live stream is over. Sakiran says Happy New Year to you. Yes, Andy also Happy New Year. Great opportunities, definitely mega trends. Dr. Blue, yes. Andy says real tangible assets, very attractive, absolutely. And yes, always be diversified. Great comments. In any case, stay tuned. We are not doing any webinars. We're only going to do the social media, YouTube and stream live. So that's the vehicle we will use going forward. But again, like the communication for Utopian Global, if you have questions, always send them via email to support@utopianglobal.com. And with that, Bill, I don't want to make it too long here, because I know people have a short attention span usually. They want to get on with their life, with their busy lives. So thank you again, everybody, for listening. We're going to have more exciting things coming out. Thank you, Bill, for sharing your vision. 2021. It's going to be a great year. So with that, I say thank you to everybody again, and let you to speak the last word, Bill.
Well, thank you, Claudia. Well, I always say, don't I? If you're not sowing, you got nothing to harvest. So we need to be sowing the right seeds and the right assets at the right time, and that's exactly what we're doing now. We made a major shift last year. Hard decisions for the board or store, but that's still there and still going to do very, very well. I mean, the trend towards the problem with plastics to fuel is significant. So that's going to be there. And Ryan's already speaking about, a public listing company. So that's going to take time. That's now going to take longer than probably that we anticipated, because no one can travel anywhere at the moment. But at the same time, instead of waiting 5 years before people got money for, actually initially the break-even point was probably 3 years, then it moved back to about 8 years because of the situation with the bank. So that's been resolved because they actually sold that particular asset, and people are getting their money back now, as we say, from that particular investment. So they're going to get payouts the next 2 years, and on top of that, they're getting the free shares in the poly stream, and that's going to be that's another asset that's you've got Ryan and the team working on, which is going to be longer term. That his energy is going into that, and I'm on this side working on the projects here in Angola on the mineralization. So again, if you're not sowing, you've got nothing to harvest. So with that, be blessed. Stay safe and well, and visualize that 2021 is going to be a fantastic year. And don't let this fear, what's going on in the world, dictate your mind. Get on the calls of Dr. Blue, because it's all about the mind. What you believe and what you're going to conceive in your life. And I totally believe that. That's been my life. And you've got mentors and coaches like Dr. Blue, Claudia out there doing these coaches each week, and we're going to bring you the right assets too, so you can get involved. And it's going to be available for all people. That's it, a very flexible platform for all people, and that's what we like. So good night to everyone. Thank you so much.